We're just going to give it about 2 minutes more and then we shall start.
Great.
Good. Vic, I think this is the time that we need to start singing a song or maybe a dance for a Friday.
So what we do at Valuate is we always enter with music. So
Yeah.
So it's a big thing of ours. So the first 5 minutes is always music, just to get that
Energy up
and energy going and all that sort of wonderful stuff. And it's
shall.
always very difficult with virtual things. How do you because normal things, people sort of mingle and they talk and to each other and as they wait, that sort of thing, and then everybody asks them to sit down. But with virtual, it's a bit difficult. So music, we found, is the solution.
Okay, cool. That's something that I'm going to implement going forward. Can you imagine us going into the office and having our like beatbox and like going in to a meeting?
It'll awaken the spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I'm sure that we're going to have people that's going to join us in a few minutes time. It's fine. We are recording the session and we will be able to share this with anybody that would want to listen into this. So I think we should start. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for taking time to share this event with us. As most of you will know, especially our bursary holders, my name is Subhashini Gaunda, and I will be your host for today. I'm the Corporate Social Investment Manager for the PPS Foundation, and I work on various programs that aims at developing and growing the youth of South Africa. As you might know, being a bursary holder or an alumni of the foundation, one of the programs is the bursary program. We have the Leap Work Readiness Program. We have Professionals Connect, which we will touch base on a little bit later. And we have our University Support Program, and that's just a small tidbit of what we do at the foundation. So this afternoon, I was thinking about how am I going to introduce this event and how am I going to gauge with the individuals that attended. And I was going through my phone, and you always get these morning messages and you hope that one of those messages are going to speak to you. And one of the messages that I received this morning was, whenever you are in a position to help somebody, just do it. And be glad because God is answering someone's prayer through you. So with this said, please take this message with you as you go forward in your life and as you listen to what we have to offer you in this event. And remember that helping someone is answering their prayer. And this is something that we have a calling for us. And with me, that runs and works with helping others is Vic Rankin. As many of his colleagues and his students call him, it's Uncle Vic. And in his own words, this is his bio. I thought maybe I should say it as a third person, but I thought, no, let's just hear it in his voice, what he's saying. I lead courageously with more than 25 years of workplace experience, 15 years of which are in executive positions. I believe in the vulnerability of courageous leadership to develop people and enhance excellence and performance. Furthermore, I'm dedicated to getting these things done with strong communications. I inspire as I work within teams. My exemplary skills in observation makes me a visionary strategist and a change implementer looking into the future of work. Additionally, I am passionate about the youth and I've dedicated my life to their upliftment. I mean, really, if this is not a person that's living through to his values and goals, I mean, you know what? You are absolutely honored to have him in your presence. Then when we were looking at other speakers and we thought, okay, who should we bring? Should we bring more people as esteemed as Vic is because he's got so much of experience? And then we decided, no, you guys are probably going to think that Vic and myself, you guys were born with it, right? I mean, you know how to public speak. You've been there long enough. You do not understand our pain. So what we decided to do is to bring in two individuals that are employees of PPS and they are part of our youth. So Tiani Nell is a 2022 PPS graduate. She's working in the foundation. Tiani has a psychology qualification from UNISA. She's going to help us understand the importance of setting career goals while studying and the steps that she has taken to track and achieve her goals. In partnership with her, we have Brent Ogle. Brent, also a young individual, he was a 2021 graduate. He has a marketing qualification from the University of Johannesburg. Brent is now fully employed at PPS and he is in our financial advisory team. Brent is going to help us with how do we work towards achieving our financial goals. He will share some tips on how to become financially independent by setting up simple goals and how to be able to track it. He's also offered his service to hold your hand and take you through your financial journey personally. We will share his details with you during the course of the event. So without any further ado, please welcome Mr. Vic to speak to us on preparation and choice. The best math you can learn is how to calculate the future cost of your decision because you reap what you sow. Vic?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me hit my stopwatch because that also keeps me in track in terms of time. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. I just really enjoy and love being able to have these opportunities. So to you, Subhashini, and PPS as a whole, thank you very much for this. I just think maybe just as a quick icebreaker, maybe in the chat group, can people just say where they're from? It would be interesting to know who I'm speaking to, far and wide. What city are you in? I'm speaking from Johannesburg. I'm specifically in Rudaport and Ramsey. So just throw into chat where you're from. It would be nice for me to just get a sense. Since I can't see faces and I, we haven't had a chance to converse. Honeydew, just around the corner from me. Joining from Pretoria, also from Joburg, fantastic. From Soweto, Cape Town, oh wow, okay. Professor Nkosi is from Cape Town, fantastic. It'll be good. It's good to see for where everybody is. So my subject is exactly as is been mentioned by the host, Subhashini. It's about preparation and choice. It's a passionate subject of mine. And I've tried to sort of modify it a little bit so that I can incorporate this construct of goal setting and the importance of goal setting. But the way I'm going to conduct this is a little bit around the why of goal setting. So we talk a lot about how to goal set, but we sometimes don't necessarily talk about why goal setting is important. And I think there's an intrinsic, very important cognitive and spiritual impact that takes place when you start reflecting on your goals, and I'll explain that as we go along. So one of the quotes that I love is, and this is the reason why I talk about whys, is this quote that was originated by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it's, those who know their whys, why you do something or what you're doing and why you're doing it, can overcome their hows. And how things are, because life is all about overcoming your how, and the thing that gets you overcoming your how is having a very clear why as to the direction that they're heading. So let me kick off again. Let's just go back into the chat group. I want to ask a question. Don't worry, this is not going to be all interactive. Sometimes you just want to sit and Friday afternoon and listen, but there are some things that I want to just get from you as a sense so that I can impart something. How many, from the construct of learning and knowing, how many of you think we are learning beings And how many of you think we are knowing beings? And I ask this question with a disclaimer that Seho is not allowed to answer because she knows the answer to this question. So how many of you think you are learning beings? How many think you are knowing beings? Please put it in the chat group. You can put L for learning and K for knowing. I just want to get a sense. And the reason why I'm asking this is because as we go through life and as we make our decisions, they have to come from somewhere intrinsically within us. So I've got 4 learning beings. Everybody believes that we're a learning being. Is there anybody else? 5 learning beings. Okay, so far, there we go. So far, it's ringing true that there is a sense that we are learning beings. Okay, so let's put this to the test, right? And please use your reactions for any exclamations. And if you fundamentally disagree with some of the conversation that I'm doing, please put in chat, say something, let's make this as interactive as possible whilst we're being relaxed. Let's put that theory to the test that we are learning beings or knowing beings. And something came to me from a revelation around this, because I think it's an important construct. And that was my little daughter. She was born 7 years ago. We've got 4 kids. I'm a lot older now. So when we had our 4th child, I was a lot older. So life was a lot different. And there was a conversation that started happening between me and God. And that was the question he asked me. Do you think you're a learning being or a knowing being? And I said, learning being. And he said, well, let's put this to the test. He said, when the fetus meets the ovary, when the sperm meets the ovary to create a fetus, when the eyes are going into place, when the nose is going into place, when the hands are going into place, are the eyes and nose and hand, do they know where to go, or are they learning where to go? Is it sort of bumping into each other and trying to figure it out, or they know where to go? So my answer was, well, they know where to go. I thought, okay. He says, well, when that process continues, and the heart is going into its position, and blood is going into, and the lungs and the liver and the kidneys and the colon, are they learning how to get there, or do they know from origination where to be? And I said, well, I think they know where to be. Then he went on and said, well, your daughter, remember the other day you put her on her back and you left the room and she had flipped over onto her front. Who taught her that? I was like, geez, nobody taught her that. And when she started pulling herself up into that crawling position, were you involved in that? Did you pass on that information? Did she learn that from you? I said, no. And the moment you were about to create that selfie, when she was about to grab the edge of the table and lift herself up and stand for the first time, did you teach her that? No. So then he said, well, let's come back to the question. Do you think you're a learning being or a knowing being? So I said, oh, wow, well, that might change my view. I think maybe I'm a knowing being. And he said, yeah, but think about it this way. You're a knowing being learning what you know. Now, I want you to go back to school, to wherever learning institutions that you've actually all come from and are part of at the present moment. Don't you remember those moments of revelation when the teacher's doing something in maths and at some point you don't get it, and then all of a sudden you get it, or somebody says something and you actually get it? And I started beginning to understand this construct of revelation. And when I put it back to me, it was an interesting thing because I failed my last year of school. What would be the equivalent of matric? I failed it, and I failed it badly. I then went to repeat, but when I went to repeat, I went to a different school in a different country. And what was interesting is that within 1 year, I did what was equivalent of A-levels. I think all of you must know about A-levels. It's the exams that usually are set in the UK, etc. I did 2 A-levels and I failed them with a U and an F. I then went overseas. I repeated with 4 A-levels. And in 1 year, I got 3 Bs and a D. Now, my mind is the same mind. The person is the same person. But the difference was the teacher who was revealing to me what I already knew was significantly different. And my sense of being able to learn changed rapidly. So this construct of revealing and learning is a little bit, it is very important, because when you're going to start setting goals for yourself, there's going to be some elements in there that come into that. Within you, there is a very specific part of you that needs to be revealed about who you are. It's already in your DNA. It's like the seed of the ovary and the sperm when it came together. The DNA of your formation is already predetermined. That is also true of who you are. And it is your destiny to go out and start figuring out who you are. And that's why I said that the best math that you can learn is to start calculating the future cost of your current decision. Whatever decision you make today, whatever goals and objectives that you set today, have a consequential impact into your future. Why? Because you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have all heard of this construct of reaping what you sow? Just put up your hands and let me know if you heard. Yeah, their hands going up. Everybody's heard about this construct of reaping what you sow. But let's just understand this very carefully. When I looked at this, I started thinking a little bit deeper about it, because it's a very, very profound statement. You, not your mom and dad, not your brothers and sisters, not your teacher, not your friends, not everybody around you, not your organization, not your colleagues, you reap what you, and it's repeated, what you, not what your parents say you should sow, not what your brothers say you should sow, not what the Kardashians are doing and sowing, but you reap what you sow. And that's a very powerful statement in terms of understanding what it is that you need to be doing in order to get the results that you need to have. And this is where I come back to this conversation about when you're setting a goal, you're setting something about who you are and what you are defined in your DNA. So within you, you need to reveal your destiny, what is known as your ikigai. The Japanese call it your ikigai, your reason for being, because it's within you, like everything else has been within you. So how do you reveal that? When does reveal actually happen? Your reveal happens during your thinking. When you are sitting there and trying to make sense of yourself, trying to make sense of what you want to do, trying to make sense of where you want to go and how to go, that's when the elements of your reveal starts taking place. The moments that you start setting your vision, where you would like to see yourself, your objectives, your goals, there's a massive connect between universal forces and you, what's within you in that seed that starts going into action. And that's the importance of beginning to sit down and set goals for yourself, and beginning to sit down and set objectives, and beginning to sit down and set visions. To execute a goal, you must have a vision. Your immediacy of a goal has to be linked to your broader vision. So when you're going to have conversations about understanding money, how is money today going to impact the vision that you're setting yourself? And visions, by the way, I'll come into discussing them. For you to attain a real and desirable goal, it must have an overall objective and an overall vision. So what's the difference? We're talking about visions, goals, et cetera, et cetera. A vision is what you set yourself long into the future, 3, 5, 10 years into the future. It must be a big, hairy, audacious goal. Big, massive, big vision. It must be something that scares you. An objective is when you've taken that and broken it down into annual outcomes. So an example would be, I want to run in the next Olympics at the age of 54 at 100 meters. Everybody may laugh. That's a big, hairy, audacious goal. So if the Olympics is in the next 5 years, what do I have to put in place every year in order to get that? Then you get your goals, where you take down your yearly objectives and break them down into monthly objectives because they're a little bit closer, right? So if my yearly objective is to, my immediate objective is to compete at a school, right? For the first year, and then the next year I'm competing at regionally, right? And then the next year I'm competing nationally, and then the next year I'm in the team. That's sort of the big, hairy objectives that you set yourself. But your goals may be very specific in terms of what are you going to do in the next month in order to attain that yearly objective. And then your tasks, which are really the horrible things, are the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So you have to translate that vision into objectives, your goals into tasks, and those tasks are the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So your reveal happens when you're thinking about your vision and your goals and your objectives and your tasks. I would one day show you my list of tasks. I write everything down. We'll talk more in detail in the future, hopefully when we get together, about how to actually do that, because you've got to write these things down. There is a cognitive experience and a neurological experience when your eyes, your visual senses meet what you're writing down that's cognitively related to what it is that you are aspiring to do. So these are the whys. So that was, let me give you, the reason one is it's all to do with how it is that you go about setting these goals really audaciously. But I want you to realize that for you to set a goal, you have to make a choice. You have to choose to make that. It's funny that there's certain things that happen to us, like what I explained in terms of internal or really knowing parts of you that work. But there are other things that, for want of a better word, the universe, God has said, no, this one, I'm not going to make it happen naturally. I'm going to make you want to choose to make it happen. And choice is a very powerful thing, because when you set goals, you underestimate the power that you have. The power is an earth-shattering power. It's a life and death power. It's a decision that you make that's going to impact other people. It's not just yours. It's your choice, because you're going to reap what you sow. Other things like, for example, aging is a revelation, right? You can see people aging over time, but they have no control over that. They have no choice over that. Hunger is something that just comes and you have to respond to it. It's instinctual, right? Breathing, you don't have any choice in that. You've got to breathe. If you stop breathing and exercise that choice, then the end is nigh, right? And then jokingly, I always say, the older you get, you sometimes excrete that little bit of gas by accident. And that wasn't your intention. That wasn't a choice, but it just happens, right? So choices affect lives. And this is how they affect lives. If you don't make the big audacious goal or the big audacious vision to become the doctor, somebody's life is going to be affected because you didn't operate, right? The fact that you didn't write that book that's so deeply embedded in you and you know that's part of your DNA, somebody is going to be affected because they're not going to learn. The fact that you chose to say the words that you said, it's going to affect somebody's life deeply. It's either going to affect somebody's life positively and reveal to them more of who they are meant to be, or negatively and continue to bury even more what they were designed to be. When you set a goal, you choose a direction. You set in motion, as I said, a connection between your DNA and universal powers that impact lives, because now you're deciding about something that's going to have a ricochet and knock-on effect on other people. The fact that you're setting yourself audacious and big goals to become the best versions of who you're going to be means that you're going to be the person who goes and finds the next vaccine, or you're going to be the person who plays the song and saves the life of somebody who's about to commit suicide, or you're going to say something that's going to inspire somebody to become better than they were going to be, or even believe they can be. So making a choice in your life has great impact on other people. And this is another reason why setting goals is important, because it's not just necessarily about you. You must become what you were meant to be. And those goals you set are driving you towards where you were meant to be. But I must add here as a caveat, your intentions are very important. Why you want to do what you want to do is important. I call it two things. It's intentions and motives. Your intentions about what it is that you want to do have to be driven by the right motive. Example, Four ladies are crossing, old ladies want to cross a road. The first person comes along and helps them along because you know what? They really want everybody to know that they're a good person and they're helping the old lady across the road. The second person comes along and helps the old lady along the road. Why? Because secretly they want the car to hit the old lady so that they can get the inheritance. The third person comes along and helps the old lady across, doesn't really care, is on Twitter, is on this, and helps them across the road. These are three people who are doing the same thing, intent, but are motivated by different reasons. So your motive is very, very important because lies within your motive is your why. You choose, so this is the big one. This is big one. You choose to reveal within you, when you set the direction in which you're going about your seed, that helps others see theirs, or you're burying it. So when somebody sees, have you ever bumped into a person who's like, you know, really excited and really an enthusiastic person and it rubs off on you? And then you meet somebody else who's a little bit, and that rubs off on you. That energy is very important because that's how you translate energy to somebody else. By clearly revealing what's in you and setting your direction, you let your light shine and you give permission for other people to let their light shine. I don't know if you've heard of the quote that the poem, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And we're connected. So that power translates itself, it passes it on. So when I see you doing big, audacious things or implementing your goals and succeeding, etc., it gives me the impetus to want to do that. So how do you define and how do you get to the point of being able to do that? Let me just skip along just for the purposes of time. So what you need to start doing is, one of the things I say is, I don't think people are spending enough time with themselves. For you to hear who you are so that you can start writing down where you need to be going, you need to spend time with yourself. And that time, by the way, is a pure time. It's not the time that's also interrupted by Twitter and is hanging around YouTube and maybe is in the back of Netflix. It's that pure time with yourself in order for you to understand who you are, right? Because what will happen is that your definition of who you are is going to be defined by the Kardashians and what they're doing. And when you start entering into that world, you're motivated by something completely different. You must set yourself the process of time and preparing for that time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. Have conversations, take a pen and paper, write it down, and start stating to yourself the important things that are for you, your ikigai. What are the things that you want to become? Look, it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. I'm putting this across to you like it's something that, you know, you get up tomorrow morning and by, you know, tomorrow afternoon, you're already running with it. It's not easy. It is a habit that you need to develop. It is a habit that you need to develop because that habit sets in motion who you're going to be. And the question that I'm going to ask you right now, if you reap what you sow, what are you sowing? What are you sowing right now? Because somewhere in time, you're going to reap it. We're a country that's a consequence of what we sowed before. And now what we're reaping today. What individuals sowed before. Their sense of personal gratification. Their sense of a lack of urgency. Their sense of a clear vision for everybody. We're all beginning to be impacted, not beginning, by that. So what are you sowing today for you to make you the most powerful individual today that's we're all going to benefit from tomorrow? And when you do that, when you set that time aside, then the revelation, that thing that's in your DNA starts coming up. And when you start planning your goals and setting your objectives and start, there's an intrinsic relationship between you and the dynamics of who you are. And the moment you hit that path, success is inevitable. You have never heard anybody say, I'm doing what I love and I'm failing. People who say what they're doing, what they love, are just so in love with it, they can't conceptualize The fact that, oh, maybe I'm not making as much money as I should be making, or maybe I'm not as famous. They just love what they're doing. They love the giving, they love the receiving, they love the adding, they love all those constructs. And it's important that you set yourself those very clear constructs of where it is that you're going, so that, as I said, we all benefit from it. This goal setting, you might feel, is just for you, and it's not just for you. So details around goal setting, the actual, go to the internet. You guys live in the world of information that is, there are so many people who are giving amazing ideas in terms of how to set visions, how to set objectives, how to set a goal. I'm not even gonna go in there because it's not my speciality, but I'll tell you why you should do it. I'll tell you how it's important to you, it's important to your family, it's important to everybody around, it's important to society and communities. If we didn't have the people who got up, who set the goals to say, we are going to be the guys who make vaccines, where would we be? Where would we be today? I'm going to be a doctor, where would we be? I'm going to make the bed that the patient needs to sleep on, where would we be? So there's an intrinsic responsibility for all of you to be part of what you need to do. And in order to do that, spend time with who you are and start developing that essence of, and understand that it's within you. That's why I wanted to say knowing and learning. It's not, it's within, it's already in there. It's no different if I went and took an orange seed and I went and took a banana seed and a mustard seed and I put them in the ground, they would know what they're going to be. They wouldn't look across to the mustard seed and go, hang on, wait a minute, why am I not that, right? I need to be that. No, no, no. You are very specific. 7 billion of us are born. None of us have the same DNA. None of us. I thought, why would you create human beings with different DNA? Because each of them are unique. And each of them has to make a choice about the direction they're going. And the moment I hear them say, this is my goal, and this is my objective, and this is my vision, the moment I hear that, I conspire universally to create that path forward so that they're able to attain and achieve what they need to attain. And that's where success comes. There'll be momentary successes where you see somebody getting rich today and then losing it tomorrow, or somebody being famous today and then losing it tomorrow. Momentary, because behind it, what they've done with the intent is that they've driven the wrong motive. So to end off, it's 25 minutes. To succeed, understand your goals through the revelation of who you are, through spending time with yourself, truly internalize your intent and motive, and appreciate that everything that you're going to do has a direct impact for human beings on this planet. And if you choose not to do it, that also has a direct impact on human beings that are on this planet. And with that, I wish you all the best goal-setting revelations and thinking about who you are, and enjoy the rest of the steps of life that are going to break you into who you were meant to be and be the best versions of who you were designed to be. Thank you, Vashni. That's me. 26 minutes, just under 30.
Wow, Vic. That was amazing. I mean, at my young age, I mean, you know, really, I've learned a few things from you as well. I think the one thing that I will take away from me and I will impart on this team as well is look within yourself, because only you will have the answers. We constantly look for others to validate our worth and what we are capable of doing. But at the end of the day, if we do not know what our worth is and how valuable we are as human beings, nobody else is going to make us feel better about it. Nobody, but thank you so much. But let's go on. I mean, now we're going to start to warm things up again, and we're going to start our discussion. Brent and Tiani, I think I'd like to start with you, Tiani. I mean, you know, you're a recent grad, you've just qualified, you've got your psychology qualifications, and now you're a graduate at the PPS Foundation. I think, you know, the question that I have for you, and if you could help the others on this platform, when you were completing your goals, okay, when you were completing your studies and your qualifications, what were the goals that you set for yourself once you completed that study?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, Subhashini. So everyone has their own journey, like everyone that is here today, yourself, Uncle Vic, all the other participants that have joined us today. And my journey has been somewhat different. I finished my degree at a later stage that I thought I would have. But during that journey, I was offered the opportunity to work through that. And though I learned so many soft skills that I'm able to use today, and that gave value to the goals that I had to set, long-term goals and short-term goals. And you can set your long-term goals, right? But to get to your long-term goals, you have to look at your short-term goals first. My long-term goals had changed dramatically through my studies, through my day-to-day, because through the changing world that we have, life has changed so quickly. Like, I had a 5-year goal. That 5-year goal changed to 1 year because of my short-term goals. I was able to learn a lot in a shorter period of time. And the main goal that I have set is professionally, I would want to increase my knowledge through working and training and networking to get to that position. And obviously, I've worked previously, but I haven't reached the financial goals that I would love to. And that's one of my goals. I mean, we all look forward to. We cannot live without it. But we also need to manage those goals. Is it the way you want it to be? What are you going to do to get towards that goal? And we are each different individuals, and our goals might change. We have the same, but they might change at the same time. So look at those goals according to what you are able to do and achieve.
I think what I'm taking from there, Tiani, is that you've got to be a bit agile with your goals, right?
100%.
It cannot be, this is my 5-year goal, this is my 3-year plan, this is my 1-year plan. Events happen along the way, so which means you're going to have to re-look at what you've achieved, or if you have not achieved, do you need to move direction? That's what I'm getting from you. Another question that I have is, now that you have been you found employment, right, in a graduate program at PPS. So when you start a new job, there's obviously you're going to have to set new goals, but how does that transcend to how you are able to achieve it now that you are employed? So what are the tips that you can give future graduates when they qualified, when they start their job, to take forward with them?
Okay, so I came in very much blindsided, and but one thing that really has helped, ask questions. It gets you so far. Ask the questions. And another advice that I can ask is, if you encounter a problem or situation that you're not sure, go and try and figure it out, find a solution before you go and just say, listen, I have this problem. I have no idea what to do. And in that process, you learn things about yourself. You learn that I had this knowledge that I did not know that I actually have. And you can use that into different environments outside of the workspace. And another tip that I can say is expand your network. Communicate with other employees. I mean, along the way, you never know when you might need them. And get out of your comfort zone, That's one thing I learned about PPS, get out of your comfort zone. And it's learned me a lot. You are very uncomfortable. And I work alongside Subhashini, and there has been many moments that I've been taken out of my comfort zone, but it has grown me so much that I see myself taking ownership of that something and using it elsewhere within the workspace as well. So I think that's the biggest advice that I could give when starting out. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I mean, there were many times that I thought Tiani is going to run for her life, right? I mean, working in the foundation, I'm sure a lot of our bursary holders here would know who she is. Would you believe that this young lady started at PPS in February? The immense amount of confidence that she was able to grow and to put her into a situation where to tell her story. But thank you for sharing that, Tiani. I'll come back to you in a little while. Brent, so you are a permanent employee at PPS. You was a you was a graduate financial advisor last year, and you were successful in your role. And you are now permanently employed, and you are there to help individuals, the youth, adults, esteemed professionals with their financial help and their financial journey. I think if you could, as a financial advisor, what are the words of wisdom that you can help our audience with? What are some tips from a financial goals that they, to help them set financial goals for themselves and to be able to achieve it?
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Thank you for the introduction. So with me, when I started, I'm going to share 3 tips. But when I started, obviously that transition from being a student to working and having to take my own finances into account and be responsible, and, doing your own thing with it. What I did is I first did a budget. So generally when we serve clients, that's a good starting point. Put everything onto paper or Excel, and so that you can visually see what's happening, with your finances, and that way you have control over it. And you have an actual and you have a budgeted column as well. So you budget, let's say 2,000 for fuel. And we know what our fuel is now. We know budgeted versus actual is going to be quite different. So that's always a starting point. So you get your budget, getting everything into order, and you track it monthly. Then you see, in a way you can identify with your shortfalls or where there's additional surpluses, and you just work, in between those lines, and you work to sort of stay in between your means, especially as a young person. Fortunately, with a lot of young people now, we see these lifestyle. We see Instagram, we see how some people are spending at Conquer on the weekends, and and you think, wow, I also maybe want to do this. I'm not saying don't, but just be smart about it. Be within your means. The second tip would be a back to basics approach. So I went back to what's income, what's expenses, what's assets, what's liabilities, credit cards, debt. Getting all those things, getting all the knowledge on that, and then further building on that. And then the last thing is being target driven. So let's say you want to go to Thailand in December and you need 40,000. Then you break it down to, okay, monthly, how much would I need to save? And you give yourself that time. That way, a few months closer to the time, you don't have to take a lot out of your monthly salary, to put aside. So, we say small steps go a long way. I think a nice way I can sum it up is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Thank you, Brent. I think that is, I mean, if you really have to think about it, right, it's true. We all have to go back to basics. Whenever I listen to the financial advisors speak and to, to be able to hear what they have learned and the information that they provide to everybody, I learn every day from them, because they are the ones that are able to go. And it's true. The one thing that our CEO always says, the first salary that you always earn, it would be the richest that you would ever be in your entire life, regardless of what salaries you may expect to earn or you earn in your future. But your first salary is the richest you would ever be, ever. So savor it, value it. Thank you, Brent. So if we need to, like, if somebody wants to contact you and say, Brent, I need to know more about my financial journey, I need help on how to budget and how to be able to plan for the future, what would you suggest and how would you be able to help with that?
So I think let me just first paint a picture, and then we'll unpack the role of a financial advisor. But basically, me being a financial advisor, how I basically explain it to clients is, think of me as your chauffeur, right? So we sitting in a S-Class Mercedes, you in the back, you got the seat massager on, maybe you sipping on some champagne, you have your laptop on the side there, and you say, look, I want to go to Sandton. And I say, okay, well, we can either take the highway or we can go, through the city, go the scenic route. But at the end of the day, we're still going to get to Sandton. So while we're on that journey, we make tips and changes, There might be potholes here, there might be robots, But at the end of the day, that's how we're going to get there. Now, generally what we do is we then sit down and, we have that open conversation, especially with a lot of the young people, So if they're making that transition from being a student to working, there's more responsibility on them. Maybe there's student loans they need to, start taking care of. Maybe there's dependents at home, that they generally look after as well. If they're the oldest in the family, maybe they help the family as well. So we unpack that, and generally as when I start with the budget as well. We always look at the finances, so we see how we protect you. And then we also, have the discussion around your goals. As Uncle Vic mentioned earlier, your goals that you set now, those seeds that you plant now are going to take you through life. So that's why it's smart to, make sure that they're done correctly at this young age. Because you don't want to look back later on and say, hey, it's rough, So generally, yeah, we have that conversation, we sit down, we look at the client's goals. Maybe they want to be self-employed. So a lot of graduate professionals tend to go, they tend to go that route. They say they want to start a family at 30. So it's all the things we plan for. And I would say, finances is 80% of your problem. So all the goals you have, it's likely that there's going to be some finances involved. So it's good to start young, get that knowledge. We impart that knowledge as well. And at the same time, we hold our clients accountable as well to that. And that way they take ownership of it. And they say, you know what, I actually need to, be smart about my finances. And in there, we create understanding of money. And ideally, we want our clients to have a endearing relationship with money, not a toxic one.
I think that's very wise, most definitely, because being in the work environment for so many years and building relationships with people in our organization, not only when I was at PPS, but in my previous employees, salary or your payday should be your happy day, right? But it becomes one of the most unhappiest days for so many people because before that money even touches that account, everybody's got a piece of it. And the next
Debit
time you look,
orders.
absolutely. But Brent, I think that is excellent. I mean, the fact that you are able to help us understand and to build a good, meaningful relationship with money means that if we have a positive relationship, we are reaping what we sow. Hey, Vic, we are planting some great seeds over there. Vic, is there anything that you would like to share or ask questions to Tiani and Brent? Or maybe let's open up the floor to our audience. Do you all have any questions? We'd like to see your pretty faces or your handsome faces.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone's face yet.
They're
So,
all blocking
I think Caroline
themselves.
popped in for a second. I go, oh, that's what a Caroline looks like.
Ah,
But,
okay.
no,
But do you all have any questions, guys? I mean, can we help you? We spoke about your career. We're talking about when you study because some of you are still studying. We then spoke about when you start a job, what are the key pointers you need. When you study, set your goals as to what you want to achieve. When you get that job, you know, the one thing that Tiani kept focusing on was ask questions, do not be afraid. You know, try and find solutions. So don't only go with problems, go with your anticipated or what you think your solution could be. I mean, we had Brent that took us through a chauffeur drive through Santon, on a journey that, you know, that he avoided load shedding and where there's lots of potholes and there's not too many robots, and he got us there safe. I mean, Vic spoke to us and he started it. He started it from before we were even born, to think about what we are made up of. So, I mean, if this does not help you with the goals, I mean, we were speaking earlier when we were doing a dry run, and Vic mentioned that if I had to tell my 16-year-old self what I know now, I would actually listen to that person. Because it's, and that's why we try to bring an array of speakers, you know, from different levels and phases that they are in their lives, to be able to help you so that you could relate and resonate with it. So Kibone, do we have any questions?
We do. And this one is from Mpumelelo, and it's to Brent. You see yourself as a chauffeur. How do you deal with people trying to shortcut the financial journey?
That one is a tough one. There's more on like the investment side that I do come across. You know, because a lot of people are doing like forex or day trading. And you need to understand that everyone has their own path. So generally, like when we sit down with the client and we maybe do an investment, there's a lot we take into account, you know, such as time horizon, what game are you trying to play? So in this instance, like the day traders, they, you know, they invest on the day to day and get profits, whereas we do a lot more longer term investments. Not saying that you can't do your day to day, but for you specifically, just because you heard from a friend that you can make money quickly, doesn't necessarily mean that for you, you might want to go that route as well. And a lot of the time, you personally speaking, there's no shortcut. You gotta take the long route. A shortcut I would say is the lotto. I'm sure everyone has seen I blew it. Once again, money people never worked for, and you see the position they end up many years after. So the lotto is a shortcut, but the money doesn't last long. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to a personalized solution for you. There's no shortcut. That's why we say, you know, you start young, take smaller steps, but in the long run, you'll definitely be taken care of. I hope that answers your question.
Wisely, not even answers. It answers it wisely.
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention on that folks, money is a very interesting thing, and the why is very important. And find, you know, Brent has got a very level-headed head on him. Find people like Brent to chat to, because money, when you don't, you know, there's a route to money, and we all know what that route is, right? So when you don't understand why you're doing something, it will come back to burn you later in life. So you need to divorce yourself from what's everybody else doing to really what do I need, and what do I want to do? Because woo, yeah, the whole Zondo commission.
Yep.
How long did it go on for? 5 years. 99.9% of that is about money.
Yep.
And
And they still can answer. They still can't answer. Sorry, and they still really can't answer. So I really liked what you know, Brent said, is that and even you mentioned that as well, Vic. We talk about, I mean, we're in a digital age, right? And Vic talks about writing all his notes and all the tasks that he has to do. He's written it down. We could have that on our desktop. We could have that online. I mean, it's really good. Brent mentioned an Excel spreadsheet, basic knowledge on how to manage a budget on an Excel spreadsheet. Document what your money is, how much you need to spend, what you are able to save on. I mean, and we need to take into account, I mean, we saw that the index, the rate went up by 0.5% yesterday.
Wow.
So that impacts debt, that impacts bonds, that impacts student loans, that impacts cars, credit cards. I mean, before you even look, depending on how much of debt you have, you could have a monthly increase on your expenses up to 1,000, 2,000 Rand, and you did not bank for that the month before because you did not anticipate the increase. So plan ahead. I see that there was a hand up. I can't see the hand now. Was it Asanati?
I think it was Asanati, but
I think I saw her hand up. Do you have something to say or ask, Asanati?
just as you're making a call, I don't know, you're probably not going to see this very well. No, you can't
No.
see. No, not at all. I was going to say that my whole world, no, my whole world of tasks is in here. It's a whole,
Yep.
you can show every task. So what happens is that when you've got the goal and then you've got the vision, you translate it into the task. What do I need to do today to be able to get to what I need to do next month, et cetera, et cetera. So from financial to otherwise. And the why in one of the things I discovered is I was budgeting because I was scared of lack.
Yeah.
So budgeting was a good thing. Intent was great, but I was motivated by the wrong thing. I was motivated by scarcity. I was motivated by lack. And I had to withdraw from that a little bit so that I could have a different mindset as to, because when you were motivated by lack, guess what happens? Lack appears.
You're going to have lack because that's all you're focusing on, not having enough. Absolutely.
We have another question from
Okay.
Mpumelelo again. I love the enthusiasm of Mpumelelo.
We shall send her a beautiful corporate gift, Kibone.
Can I
Yes.
make a plug? Mpumelelo's from Valued.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. We're like shining our own.
So Mpumelelo Mkiza asks, and this is directed at Tiani, and says, this is bit of okay. This is a bit of a curveball. You spoke about going out of your comfort zone. Do you believe people should be comfortable being uncomfortable? Tiani?
Yes, that is, my answer for that question is definitely. Definitely. Let's just see what it says. If you are not comfortable being uncomfortable, you are settling, and we do not want to settle in life. I mean, every day everyone's getting out of their comfort zone. If they probably don't feel like they're getting out of their comfort zone, but they are. And challenge yourself every day, because that would definitely get you out of that space and to the new environment that you want to get yourself into. Going back to your goals, some of your goals you cannot reach if you remain in your comfort zone. So yes, definitely be comfortable about being uncomfortable. So yes, definitely.
I 100% agree with that. And I think it goes back to what Uncle Vic was saying earlier on, that, you know, we are all built with this thing within us. So how else are you going to change and discover what is within you if you aren't uncomfortable and making the changes, you know, that set you into this next part? The next question is from Tejo Sebohodi. How does one find balance in the current state SA is in, from all perspectives? What is your word of encouragement? And I'm assuming this is directed at Uncle Vic.
Thank you, Tejo. Another value addition. So, I think for me, here's my word of encouragement to maybe as a parting shot. This is the greatest time of opportunity. When we grew up, we had direction, but we didn't have options, right? I mean, I think Subhashini will attest to the fact that our parents were directed by really one major thing: educate you, get you out so you can succeed. I don't care what you do, just make sure it's enough to make money. If you're not happy with it, suck it up.
Yeah,
that was basically
absolutely.
And they meant that really with genuine love. They wanted the best for us, but it wasn't really about, are you happy? This is what you've chosen. So therefore, when you see a lot of people from our generations, they're not doing what they studied. They're not even doing what they studied from a professional point of view. You all have a period in history where opportunity is in your hands. We had to, for everything, we needed to hope and pray. I put my CV out there. I hope I get a job. And if I want to start my business, I hope the bank gives me a loan, and I hope that the mall gives me a space. And it was all about, situational living in accordance with other people's expectations. Now, power is in your hands. Digital technology puts it in your hands. We grew up with one TV channel, and the smartest person you needed to know, because that's who if they said, what's the capital of Bulgaria? You needed to pick up the phone and go, Subhashini, what's the capital of Bulgaria? Subhashini would tell you, right? Or you'd run across the road because you knew that Brent had a whole series of encyclopedias, and you go, oh, capital of this. Today, information is at your fingertips. Anything and everything you need to know is right in front of you. So you can build for yourselves what you need to build. The other thing that I didn't add that I should have added is that not only are you born with a DNA that reveals who you're meant to be, you're born with an audience. There is somebody somewhere whose life, as I said earlier, you're going to affect, but it's not just somebody, it's an audience of people. So whether you like painting, whether you like music, whether you like making furniture, whether you like whatever it is, there's an audience of somebody who's going to want to do what it is that you do, or want to buy what it is that you buy. And all this is in your control. You can run a digital business. You don't have to care what economy is happening. Your digital business, you can have all your clients coming from the United States of America, sitting at home, right?
Yep.
So take advantage. Take advantage, learn, I think so, get out of your comfort zone. That's a learning process. When you go out and read something about something new or figure something out, that's a learning process, and that gets you out of the comfort zone. And if that can inspire you in terms of understanding the balance of South Africa today, that you're not defined and destined by what's happening around South Africa, let alone what's happening around your community, let alone what's happening in your home. It may have an impact, but it doesn't define, and it's not your destiny. Set your path. Believe in you. Because once you believe in you, there's everything that makes your heart beat, that makes the day and night, that makes, that makes life, gravity, the whole thing, that force, that power, that global universal force and power conspires and says, yes, this is one of us. They're going in the direction that they were designed to be, and it clears your path. So I hope that gives you a sense of balance.
Absolutely. I like the fact that we asked on the current state of SA, but we all had such negative things to say about COVID and the impact of it. Yes, we lost a lot of lives, right? We lost loved ones. We almost lost loved ones, but but the people that are here, we have survived. And we need to know that we have survived and we were able to overcome this pandemic. But what has it done for us as individuals, as a country, as future professionals or current professionals? Number one, South Africa is not your only place of work. You could be living in South Africa and earning euros and earning pounds and earning whatever the currencies are out there. So look at every opportunity. And I like what Hiani says, make yourself uncomfortable. But just before, just in wrapping up, Vic, I would like to give you this opportunity just to give us an overview of your organization, where you come from, and what you would be able to offer to the individuals here, because I think it's an array of opportunities for them to learn. And I think it would be great for you to do that for us.
Okay, literally 1-2 minutes. I know of the time constraints. So we come from an organization called Value Ed. The whole construct of Value Ed is around skills development. And when we talk about skills, we're not necessarily talking just the practical stuff, but the process thinking stuff, and inspiring, because we want to create a heightened level of expectation and desire in you. When you have desire and expectation, then we can start looking at, the different things that that you can actually go out and do. And we do this through several ways. One of them is that we have a series of courses, and these courses, we've got 16 to 18 plus courses. And these courses range from self-mastery, which I run, to mental health and wellness, to exploring relationships, to networking, to work readiness, to navigating your job skills. For those of you who want to be entrepreneurs, we had an amazing session last night about how to build digital online businesses. And all these are run by industry experts. We've got coaching, we've got understanding bullying and suicide. We've got a recent one that talks to the gender-based violence, that looks at legal consent and what that means. So it's a whole array. There's about 16 or 18 of those courses that we run, and we run those on a monthly basis. We're developing a community. Added to that, we're saying, now that you're inspired and skilled, what are you going to do about it? So we believe in implementation. So we're building businesses, and a whole series of different businesses that are digital, online, that exactly what Subhashini says, that you can be sitting here and earning Europe, right? It's about controlling the destiny and your world. And we run a whole series of special events where we bring inspirational people to come and let you hear their journey. Because journeys are different. I think, Tiana, you mentioned that. Journeys are very, very different. And everybody's on their journey. So you can't compare yourself to the next person. If you all meet up at the airport, miss the flight to Cape Town, you can't say, well, I can't get to Cape Town. You might not get on a bus, get into a taxi, walk, cycle, whatever it is. People get to their destinations in different ways. And yes, we're in conversation with PPS. We'll hopefully be able to give you a sense of what you all can benefit from all that. But if you go into, and Sekho is going to put it into maybe the chat group if she can, the website address. Mpumelelo is our chairman of our ambassadors. We've got a group of ambassadors that we've just created, and he's the chairman. We have a chair lady as well. And Sekho is our chief excellence officer at ValueEd, who not only is a ValueEdian, but runs ValueEd, and joined as a ValueEdian. And we don't have time to get into her story. Next time you're just going to hear that transformation of what's possible. So yeah, that's ValueEd as a whole. We're a community. We exactly like this. I love this. This is brilliant. You all come together and define the purpose of this country in terms of where it's going to go and what it needs to look like.
Now that is passion in a nutshell, people. Can you see that seed that was planted how many years ago, Vic, you said? We won't.
54.
Well done. I am super happy that we did partner with you on this event, and your team for joining us as well. I mean, guys, you can see exactly how like-minded people work, because our main objective is to hold your hand and help you in the journey to qualify, become economically able, prosper, and grow. Thank you very much, everyone, for spending this hour with us. We really appreciate having you here, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
All the best to everybody. Thank you, Subhashini. I'm going to jump off. So I'll see you next week. I think we're chatting next week.
Yes, definitely. We do have a meeting next week. Thank you so much, Vic. Really appreciate your energy and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So it's just us. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Well done, everybody.
Thank you.
It was just, you did so well. You know what? I think to get up to we went up to about 21 people, 22 people, which was fine. I'm happy with that. You don't have to have high volumes, but I mean, it's our first one. So it's about building.
Yeah, and in the chats, when I was manning the inboxes, some people that couldn't come through was either because of meetings or they had class. So sending a recording for this, I think everybody would appreciate it. And like I sent you that direct message, honestly and truly, like Tiani and I were sitting and we're like, what are we going to do for this event? And when it came down to coming through with a topic for today,
Yes.
I'm like, you know what, let's just rather go with something that's going to be topical and something that most of us, you know, are trying to do. We all need goals and how to maintain them in this life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful this is the topic that came up, because I learned so much. I've got 2 pages worth of notes here.
Good.
This was
Good,
really
good. I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. I'm glad that you liked it, Kibone. We're going to try and do this more often. We need to look at a suitable time that meets everybody. Brent, what we will do for you when we are sending out the recording, did we stop recording?